It's 8 o'clock on the nose Central Time in Midwest USA, and this is the Nexus. And we're all darn glad to be here. Ain't that the truth? Welcome to the Nexus. James the Idol Smasher at gmail.com, at the Idol Smasher, and Orphans of Abraham on Facebook. This is a weekly biblical, informal yet serious biblical discussion, amongst other things. Glad to have you here. We do this every Thursday right here on Rumble. We're also streaming on YouTube and on X as well. Now, what we have over here in the side chat, we're going to get it on all the streams here. We're going to post a link to join. It's a Rumble Studio link. All you need is a microphone. You don't necessarily need a camera. It doesn't allow for icons or avatars, though. So if you're going to not have a camera, you won't show up on screen, but that's just fine. Hopefully we'll get John in here a little later and Rosalie as well. And this is a time, it's a biblical Q&A, because I would like to hear from you out there. Yes, you, my favorite viewer. We're going to get more in here, and we thank you for your views. A good deal of us comes after. We're not live. We're hoping that you watch this. You want to get it as, something frustrates you, something you want to get out, something you want to say. Hey, most of the comments I get on this channel are people telling me how I can make my channel better if I just email them with, the right information. And I usually nix those folks. So would love to hear from you. This entire stream that we do and that we've been doing on Thursday nights for a long time now is here for to get as many people together to discuss the topics at hand, and from all different perspectives: Christians, Muslims, pagans. We've had all kinds in here. Deists. We can get Brojo in here. I don't even know if he's still deist. We talk about everything but religion nowadays. But would love to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And for those of you who watch on X as well, thank you. Head on over to Rumble. You can get the link to join in. In fact, maybe I can get over there to X right now. Maybe I can drop a link on my X profile here. Let's see what we're doing. Where are we at here? I got a profile somewhere, and it's streaming live right now. Look in the comments section, and you will find a link. That is a link to get you in here to the Rumble Studio, and you can join the conversation. Biblical Q&A, folks, from a non-Jewish yet Jewish-loving person. And it's not the Jews themselves. It's everything that comes with them, including Torah. It was brought up in the Noahide Debates. It's a new group on Facebook, debate group. And we've had some pretty good debates. We've had some crazy stuff as well. And one of the things that our friend of the channel and a friend to Gare, really, and your friend too, James, he posted in there. He said when it comes to having a relationship with God, Torah is not necessary, and neither is a rabbi. And while I do believe that is true, that you don't necessarily need them because God is there. God breathes life into Adam. God breathes life into man. He's that close. He's that intimate with you. However, if you want to properly drive a car, well, it'd be good to learn from somebody who knows how to drive a car. If you want to build a wall, let's say around your garden, or you want to build a brick wall, you could do it on your own. Just you don't need a Navi. You don't need a bricklayer, but it would help. Same goes for the Jewish people. They're all kinds. They're people. But when it comes to the Torah-keeping Jews, the real Jews, and yeah, I mean that wholeheartedly. Real Jews keep Torah. Fake Jews don't. And even if your mother's Jewish and you skip Torah and God, you can't be called an Israelite. So I'm not going to call you Jewish. I'm just going to call you Semite. How's that? So Torah observant Jews, rabbis are there as a guide, because there is a written text. There is a code by which you are to follow. And that text is actually written in numerical code. That's a whole different story. I'm not really into that. I've seen it work. I've seen it happen, and it blows my mind. But we'll get into that another day. The purpose of the Jewish people are not to be your intermediaries to God. Okay, that's a very Christian idea, that you can't get to God without such and such. Torah is not your intermediary. Torah is a teaching. It's a guidebook. If you want to have a relationship with God, you can have one without it. But if you want to have a good relationship, you need Torah. So we get into this week's Parsha. It is starting in Leviticus chapter 9, verse 1. And I'm going to actually skip down a little bit because at first we're getting on the 8th day Moses summoned Aaron's sons and the elders of Israel. Moses said, "Take for yourselves a calf as a sin offering and a ram as an ascent offering, unblemished, and bring them near before God." And it goes into what Aaron and his sons do, and they go through a process as God has commanded, and brought the people sacrifice. It's in depth, but I want to bring up something a bit more. This is chapter 10. We'll go to chapter 10. We'll skip ahead because why learn Torah? Why bother with the Jewish people? Why bother having a teacher, a rabbi? Rabbi's not an intermediary. He's not even necessarily a priest. He is a teacher. He is a guide. He is a guru, if you will. And I mean that in the most pure sense, not that he has to be Hindi or anything like that. A guru is somebody who walks with you along a path. And there is that sort of relationship you're going to get with a rabbi, along with other things. There's student-teacher relationship. And there's, your rabbi's your friend as well. This isn't an intermediary. I'm bringing this up mainly because if you're going to have a relationship with God, you have to do it right. Let me give you an example. Aaron, he was named the high priest. His sons, his children, from there on out, from there forward, are going to be the high priests and priests at the temple. And it's perpetually throughout the generations. Levites will take care of everything outside the temple. The Levites are a priestly class as well, a priestly, if you will, nation or tribe. Either way, the Levites are in the category, Aaron, the Cohen, and all the priests within the Kohen Gadol and the Cohen. They're a part of Levi, but they're even more separate. Judaism's all about separating the mundane from the holy and fine-tuning that all the way through. If there's anything that fine-tunes, yin and yang is a beautiful concept of how things work on earth, balance, opposites. And that's nice. But it's only tuned in two ways, yin and yang. You look at the trinities you have out there, like the Celtic Trinity, or even the Christian, that's tuned to 3. You go to Judaism, it's 613. That's some fine tuning, hair splitting stuff going on right there. All right. So there is a right way and a wrong way to approach things. And an example, this is Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu. These are men who just got through in the chapter before going through a process, an offering. They knew what to do. They were told what to do. They're devoted to God. They love their father. They love Moshe. They love their creator. But listen to this. This is chapter 10, Leviticus. Aaron's sons, Nadav and Avihu, took a fire pan, put coals that were on fire in it, placed incense upon the fire, and thus brought before God. This is we're at the temple right now. Brought before God a fire, or I should say the Mishkan. It's the fire, the pillar of light, or the pillar of fire during the day, or during the night, smoke by day, or cloud by day, if you will. And thus brought it before God a fire that was foreign, inasmuch as he had not commanded them to offer it up. And fire went forth from before God, from that pillar of fire, and consumed them. And they died before God. Link to this, by the way, in the description on Rumble and on the YouTube stream as well. We're if you're on X, we're at Chabad.org, learning values, current Parsha text. So that's the translation we're at now. So right after that, Moses said to Aaron, this is what God spoke about when he said, I will be sanctified through those nearest to me, and in this way I will be honored before all people. Aaron was silent. He just watched his 2 children, die. I think there's, I think in the oral Torah, it took their bodies out of their clothes. The only thing that was left were their clothes. And Moses had the other 2 sons take care of the bodies, what was left, if you will. They approached and carried them in their tunics outside the camp, as Moses had spoken. So it didn't actually take their bodies out, apparently, but I've heard that. And then Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, do not let your head's hair grow, and do not rend your garments, so that you not die. And lest he be angry with the entire community, rather let your brothers, the entire house of Israel, bewail the victims of the conflagration that God has set ablaze. And do not go out of the entrance to the courtyard of the tent of meeting, lest you die, because God's anointing oil has placed upon you. They did as Moses told them. And then God consoles Aaron directly. You don't get a lot of that. Aaron's usually there with Moshe, okay? But in verse 9, or in verse 8, God spoke to Aaron, saying, do not drink wine in such a way that will lead to intoxication, neither you nor your sons with you, when you enter the tent of meeting, so that you not die. This is an eternal statute for your generation. Only when you are sober it is relevant for you to distinguish between which actions render the sacrifices you offer up holy, and which disqualify them, rendering them profane, and between priests who are ritually defiled and those who are not ritually defiled. Similarly, a sober person is fit to instruct the Israelites regarding all the rules God has spoken to them through Moses. Moses spoke as follows to Aaron and his surviving sons, Eleazar and Ithamar. Take the portions of the grain offerings left over after their memorial portions were burned up as God's fire offering, and eat them as unleavened loaves near the altar, for they are sacrifices of superior holiness. You must eat them in a holy place, because they are your portion and your son's portion from God's fire offerings. For so have I been commanded by God. And it goes on. It's pretty simple, and it's shocking, but it's pretty simple. What is foreign worship? Avodah Zorah. Strange fire in this particular instance, because that's what it was. They were bringing a strange fire on the offering. What is it? Thus brought before God a fire that was foreign, inasmuch as he had not commanded them to offer up. So unless it's explicitly stated in the written Torah, and only the written Torah, are you to do any of them. Now, yes, halacha will flesh things out, make certain laws a little more applicable, or not applicable, but easier to understand. They go through a lot more in detail. Oral law can be quite specific. And oral law also takes into account the entire Hebrew Bible. So it's not just, it's not just, it's not separate. It's not better. It's not, I say written law because you can't go wrong with Torah. You can get lost in Talmud. You can get way lost in Talmud. Unless you're a scholar, you can get lost in Talmud. It's just too big for the common man. It's it's 30 volumes, okay? And it's not your normal writing either. Stick with the written Torah. Stick with the Torah, okay? Stick with the 5 books of Moses. For all you other non-Jews out there like myself, this is a better guide than you're going to get anywhere else. Yes, you can get into the Talmud later, but we want to stick to what's written in here. It's something that God had not commanded them to do. One of the biggest problems people have in this world. There's John. I didn't even see. I'm sorry. I was busy reading. Yeah, foreign worship is someone who is when you anything God did not command, and mankind has a bad habit of creating rituals for himself. And oh man, gotta love this, and maybe not. I bet Aaron's sons thought this would be great. Like, oh man, he's gonna. And if he's bringing up to Aaron, directly after his sons died, don't be drunk, so that you can tell the difference. There's a great possibility that his sons had imbibed a bit that maybe they shouldn't. But even those guys are, oh, this will be great. God will love this. God didn't like it, and not necessarily that God was angry, but this is the natural consequence. So unless it's explicitly stated for us non-Jews out there in the world, that's even further narrowed down. There are elevation offerings that we can bring. There are sin offerings that we can bring, and we can bring peace offerings if you're a seven law keeper. Otherwise, you don't do it. You don't make a holiday. You don't make up your own days. I remember Noah Hides wanting to make the fourth. I think it was the fourth month when Noah entered the ark, and they wanted to make it a holiday. It's like, no, that was not. You can't do that. You're creating something new. I think it's harmless to remember that day. However, mankind has a tendency to create his own religion and create God in their own image, and that's prohibited. The way to do that, not do anything that God doesn't command. What say you, John? Am I off? What do you think?
All right, from your lips to God's ears, man. You hold down the fort pretty well. I think you're doing pretty well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming
No
by.
problem.
Much obliged.
Life treating you okay?
Life is wearing my happy act out. I tell you
Oh.
that. A lot of
Good
work.
news. I mean, we got what's his name? Pope Francis bit the dust. Baruch
Yeah,
Hashem.
the commie pope.
Yeah. Who's
Uh,
gonna? So what's the? Yeah. Some insure. Yeah. Some people are saying, JD Vance. I guess because he was the last
oh,
person to see him alive was JD Vance. Yeah.
God kept him alive until he met a really cool hillbilly. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now you can go. Yeah, JD Vance killed him. No, he didn't. That's
Well,
quite a blessing.
there were like memes going around saying,
Yes. Oh,
everything's
speaking
all
of
right. It's
memes,
good. Good to hear. Yeah, yeah. This is an action pack. I always say that, but this week's tour portion is definitely action packed, and it's like what you said. Not necessarily they were committing an avera, but they weren't sinning per se, but they didn't do. They didn't. I guess you can say have authorized. Their security clearance didn't check out, and they got zapped. You
yes,
know.
they did. And we have to watch out for that. I think if you're not
When you
going,
get
if
too
you're not,
close to God, it's noble, that you want to be close to God. Everyone wants to be close to God, but there's boundaries and distinctions and walls that are put there for a purpose. Why do we put a barrier around a roof? In the Torah they put you put a gate around the top of your roof because you don't want no one to fall off the side, right? There's a reason why you don't get too close to God. God sucks, and they got what they want, Baruch Hashem, and quite literally, they were with God. God consumed them. They wanted to be with God, and God fulfilled their wish and the desire, and they became one with God. So
that's true. It was they just couldn't stick around here, I guess, anymore.
right.
And poor Aaron, but Aaron took it like a man. I hate to say it like that. That sounds so bad. That sounds so. But I mean, he had to. He's the high priest, and then this happens, and he's got to get going. Moses has helped move things along. Keep get the bodies out and take care of things. And we have to remember to keep doing this and
Which
keep
which
going.
Torah portion are we in this week? We're in.
Shemini, Leviticus
This week's
9.
Torah portion introduces us to the laws of kosher, dietary guidelines to define which foods are permitted for the Jewish people, from determining which animals chew their cud and have split hooves to identifying fish that have fins and scales. These laws are detailed and specific, yet the Torah does not offer a direct reason for these commandments. Unlike other mitzvot that have clear and moral or ethical underlines, kosher laws fall into the category of chukim, statutes given to God without a reason or explanation. We still have, and yet still they have shaped Jewish identity for millennia. While we may not fully understand the why, their impact is unmistakable. Kosher serves as a daily reminder for our unique covenants with God. In a world that often pulls us towards assimilation, keeping kosher is one of the tangible ways to maintain our distinctiveness. It is not just about what we eat, but it's about who we are. Separateness instilled in the laws have been the key to our survival. Keeping kosher and being Jewish unite us and spiritually connect us during challenging times. This helps us appreciate the depth of our tradition and the ways even more mysterious than mitzvahs contribute to the community of our people. May our observance, even without full understanding, bring us closer to God and to each other. Oh, I like that. I'm sorry. I was looking up what today's Torah portion, and I wanted to read that. That was nice. Yeah, it's very, everything is about categorization and putting things in its proper place. You know, that's about what it is at the end of the day. If you don't know where you belong, then how you know where you're going?
Remember Noah? He knew clean from unclean animals. Even though God gave all of them, we can eat any animal as long as we do it proper as non-Jews, as people like me, non-Jews here. But even Noah knew what was clean and unclean. And so why? Yeah, that is actually there isn't much of an explanation, is there, as to why there is a kosher? It doesn't explain that in Torah.
Right.
Chapter 11 is where, by the way, the laws of kosher begin. If you're following along at home. Speak to the Israelites, saying.
So what else we got here today? What's the reading? What's the Haftarah of this week?
I hadn't gotten there yet.
Because I call it. I got dibs on reading the Haftarah.
Dibs it is. We are in Samuel, 2 Samuel, chapter 6 is this week's Haftorah portion. If you're tuning in at home for the first time and are unaware of Haftorah, it's not Haftorah, it's Haftarah. It's a section of the Hebrew Bible directly pertaining to what we read in this week's Torah portion, but is not from the Torah itself, and can offer great insight as well.
So what's this week's Torah portion? Was Leviticus?
Leviticus 9, it's Shemini.
Leviticus chapter 9?
Mm-hmm. Okay. While we're looking at that, how about a couple of memes of the week? I got some weekly memes here. Let's do some memes. All right, because remember, I always want to hear from you, my favorite viewer. And I'll take your suggestions, okay? So please, anytime. This is one. It's not a meme, but I noticed this was a portrait that Putin sent over to Donald Trump. Really? Was he buttering him up or something?
Apparently, Trump replaced Obama's portrait in the White House with that particular picture, by the way. That's what I've been told.
Oh man, I would have just never thought. You think Russian, you don't think appreciation of America. That's the last thing you think, because that's what we were told. But here's one I found. This is Sheikh Ahmad Adwan. And he says, from where did you bring the name Palestine, you liars, when Allah has already named it the Holy Land and bequeathed it to the children of Israel? There is no such thing as Palestine in the Quran. Here's one. I got a good one up here. And this is just, advice to anybody out there. But just look out because there's a reason why they do it in nature, and sometimes you just got to be anyway.
That's actually
Um,
funny.
I like this one. Do not comply. Sometimes you don't comply. By the way, the judge who's been blocking, they keep blocking these deportations and whatnot. So instead of doing it through the Department of Homeland Security, Trump did it all through the Department of Defense. The courts can't say jack.
Yeah.
I love that guy. Okay, one more here. That's yes, of course, I had to put that in because it's been a while since I've seen it. But the meme of the week, right here.
Yeah.
You're screaming about your due process, and there are people that didn't get a trial in a room like that. How would you like to live like that for 3 years of your life? You commie mother bunch of Jack, Jack, Jack. Watch my mouth. I gotta watch my mouth.
Gotta be careful there, Jack. Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Well, sometimes
So
you just
there's
have to
a
let loose.
one more. Here's the meme of the week. Right here. I decided this is the new meme of the week. Here we go. In absence of orders, find something communist and destroy it. Thank you very much. Okay, hey, I'm gonna no. I think that deserves nice little applause from the ladies. That appreciate that. Okay. All right.
Let's see. Let me see if I got any commentary for the Parsha.
You got the new Gutnick there, or the new Kabad.
I got the
Yeah,
new. I got the new. I was gonna say Siddur. Listen to me. I got it. The new Chumash. It's teal color, and it's
that's beautiful.
authorized by Chabad. Commentary with Rashi, Okonos, Haftarah, and commentary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So this is really nice. In the beginning of this week's Torah portion, I guess it's the official Chabad illustrations of what animals are, I guess, questionable, but aren't actually kosher. Like you may think they're kosher, but they're not actually kosher. Now, I guess some people believe that like in the time of the Messiah, these animals would be kosher. A camel has a split hoof and chooses card, but the hoof is not exactly fully split. It's a semi split hoof. Um, a hyrax, it's like a type of. It looks like a type of rat. It's actually a. Oh, I don't know if I can put this up. I wish. Put me on full screen, James.
I can see you. Let me see how to do that.
Oh, there we go. Oh, maybe it's just because I can't get in focus. So you have a
And the high.
camel. You got a hare, a griffin. What is that? A beard? I don't even know how you even pronounce that. An ostrich. You got quite an owl, a bat, a pecan. You got a couple of animals down there. A weasel.
Wow.
So I
I couldn't see the
suppose
hyrax. What is a hyrax? You said it was a rat or a rodent looking?
it looks like something a cross between a weasel and a rabbit.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Let me read the third section of the book of Leviticus covers two main subjects that appear to be unrelated, but are actually very closely related. So they appear at first glance to be unrelated, but really there's a connection. The first half of the Parsha is historical. The account of the eight, well, that's what the name of the Parsha means, eighth, in Hebrew, the final day of the rites of the tabernacle. So they made the tabernacle a Mashiach, an anointed. So actually, the tabernacle is actually referred to as a Mashiach, as an anointed vessel. So not just people are anointed vessels; objects are also considered anointed vessels. So it was the eighth day that the temple was anointed with the holy oils, which was the accumulation of the 7 preceding days from the previous parsha. Sav, is that what you say? The second half of the parsha is actually legality, which animals are permitted and which animals are forbidden for consumption. The basis of the laws of kashrus. The laws of ritual impurity and defilement imparted by contact with forbidden animals. So it's very interesting. Why are these two subjects seem to be unrelated, but then in the same parsha? The description of the eighth day, it's okay. Blah, 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 blah. The answer is alluded to in the name of the parsha, eighth, referring to, as we say, the day following the 7 days of the organization. I can't say this word. You got some big words in this portion. Wow. Following 7 days of the tabernacle, okay, the purpose of the tabernacle was to draw awareness of God into humanity. But this goal was not achieved until the eighth day, until the rites were fully, finished. During the first 7 days, Moses erected and dismantled the tabernacle each day. So could you imagine breaking down the tabernacle and putting it together every day? Moses did it. Right?
Work, Moses.
As God instructed him to. And he also offered all the sacrifices himself. So not only did he break down the tabernacle, put it back up, offer the sacrifices, break it down, put it back up, boom, boom, boom. While Aaron and his sons were passive, yet during the first 7 days there was no divine fire that descended upon heaven to consume the sacrifices. There was no open violation of the laws of nature, no miracles, no nothing. So these things. So unlike after, where God's consuming the sacrifices, here it's Moses is doing it, and it's just from a naturalistic perspective. Only on the eighth day did the tabernacle start, quote unquote, working. Moses did not dismantle it, and Aaron and his sons officially began to offer the sacrifices as priests in their official duties. Most importantly, the divine fire started to descend upon the altar and consume the fire and consume the sacrifices. The fact that the revelation of God only occurred on the eighth day reflects the notion that the number 7 means natural order, whereas the number 8 signifies miracles or affinity or beyond. Right? If you put an 8 sideways, this is some number for affinity. Right? 7 days of the week, 7 Noahide laws, 7 priests of the garments, 8 day bris. 8 is like a holy number. The world, which is designed to function according to the laws of nature, was created in 7 days, 7 days a week, 7 years in a sabbatical cycle. It all reflects a natural order of creation, and is forbidden to be infused with holy consciousness. So so kind of like, God was letting nature take its course, and then when it was finished, God's going to come in. The number 8 is in contrast associated with beyond nature, spirituality. Nonetheless, the fact that the eighth day is called the eighth demonstrates its contribution to the preceding 7 days. Without 7 unmiraculous days, how could you have a miraculous eighth day? This is because God made his miracles and intervention dependent on what we do within the natural orders to prepare us for the revelation of God. I love the Rebbe. I want people to read. Let me read this paragraph a little again. Nonetheless, the fact, really think about what he said. Think about what the Rebbe said. Nonetheless, the fact that it's called the eighth day demonstrates that the 7 days contributed what it had done, and without 7 more unmiraculous days, there could not have been an eighth day that was miraculous. This is because God made his miraculous intervention dependent on what we do within the natural order of things, and to prepare us for his divine revelation. It is stated in the Midrash. It is stated in a Midrash that one reason that God permitted us to eat certain animals and forbid us to eat other animals is in order to refine us. The basic refinement is affected by observing the laws, and it is the basis of self-control. What we gain by submitting ourselves to limitation on what we eat. From this perspective, there is nothing more repugnant about a forbidden animal per se than its physicality, right? So in a right, spirituality, it's like a magnet, right? You have a magnet. One's negative, one's positive. It bounces off of each other, right? If the more you do spirituality, the more physicality pushes away. The more you do physicality, the more spirituality pushes away. So the more you refine yourself in a physical world, the more you're drawing on the holiness. So that's an example. So it's not necessarily the reason why we got kosher, but it's a Kabbalistic, yeah, it's a Kabbalistic answer. Oh, I like that. That was a good
Welcome,
one.
Rosalie.
Hi.
Hey,
Sorry I'm
welcome,
late.
Rosie.
Hi, John. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. We'll dock your pay.
Okay. No PPTO for me, huh?
No. They ain't giving me none of that. You ain't getting none either.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And hello, William and Carla, both watching the show. We appreciate you very much.
Came by I do TikTok. I try to, spread Yiddish kind of on TikTok and try to. It's a lot of hate on TikTok. I'll give you that. It's a hard job trying to bring holiness there, man. It's filth. But Carla, once in a while, steps up and joins the show and says, "Well, I appreciate Carla. I thank you very much for tuning in."
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. Like sometimes, just the Rebbe has such an elegant way of putting things into perspective or wording things in a way that is so deep. Like it's so deep, but yet it's made for a layman. You know what I mean? It's just made for a schmuck like myself. Like
Yeah.
and it's just like, man, how could you have it? How could you have the eighth without seven? Right? How could you have a day full of miracles if you didn't have a week preceding up that was unholy? That was, well, not unholy, but naturalistic.
Right.
And then how can you can't have holiness without unholiness, right? You can't have. I love this. Oh man, I love that.
I like how he was saying that for that 7 days it's to get you prepared because the miracle is going to come because in God's presence. And we just came out of Passover, 8 days. You mentioned 8-day bris. What else was another eighth day? If they didn't bring up
Yeah, there's
Hanukkah.
yeah.
You know,
Shiva,
so there's
what Sukkot is 8 days.
yes, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we always think of 7, but there is a holiness to 8, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
There's one God. There's how each number has like a. I read it once in a midrash. There's like one God. One is for one God. I don't remember what 2 is. 3 is for patriarchs. Right?
The tablets that Moses
Tablet,
had.
right? You could say 2 tablets, right? The 10 Commandments. The 3 is you have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 4 is the wives, right? Sarah, Rachel, Leah, Rivka. 5 is 5 levels to a soul. 6 is unfinished or symbolizes uncompletion. 7 means completion. 8 means holiness, beyond spirituality, something that goes beyond physicality. I remember each number, each letter in the Hebrew
The
alphabet had
Hanukkah, the
corresponded to something.
menorah.
What's that?
The menorah has 8. The Hanukkah
Yep.
menorah.
Oh yeah. Oh, well. Okay. Well, the Hanukkah, well, the menorah that we use in exile, but the one in the Holy Temple only has 7. Yeah, it's only 7, I think.
No, it's 8 days for Hanukkah.
We add an extra one because we're in exile. Because you're not supposed to make. It's considered idol worship to make something that's designated in the temple. That's not the purpose of a temple. If that makes any sense, like the menorah,
Yeah.
the candle holder, whatever you in English. I mean, menorah is a Yiddish word,
Mm-hmm.
but it's supposed to be, I think, 7 branches, not 8. But we make it 8. And it's not really like it's round too. Like I know this. Like I know you probably drive by your town and you go by the Chabad house and they have like it looks like this. It looks like a V. It looks like little
Mm-hmm.
V, but it's supposed to be round. It's the menorah is like round.
Okay, the
That's the
Hanukkah
Rambam.
then. The
I've got the
menorah is
Rambam
7.
menorah.
The menorah is 7. The Hanukkah is 8.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, Hanukkah for Hanukkah. Yeah.
I've got a Rambam V-shaped
Mm-hmm.
menorah. That's the one I bought a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah, Maimonides drew a picture of like what he believed the menorah was, and it's not. He was trying to specify how big it was, and people take like he made it very primitive, but he wrote dimensions. So some people take what he drew as being stiff lines, like, but he was really emphasizing how big it was and how big it should be. I mean, historically speaking, we know how big it is. We have a big old when the what is it called in Rome? The Roman arch, where they have the picture of the sacking of Jerusalem. I don't know if anybody ever been to Rome, but when you enter Rome, there's an arch, and there's actually like carved into the arch the sacking of Jerusalem, and the Romans carrying away the menorah and the way the menorah. I don't know if anybody realized that when you enter
I never
Rome.
knew that.
I don't know
Bloody Romans.
why that particular moment in history they wanted to say forever for Rome, but they did. Or is it Rome? Is it? Yeah, I think it is Rome. Yeah, Rome. Now let me Google that real quick. Arch of Titus, right? Arch of Titus. Where is that located? That is located in Via Sacra, Rome. Yeah, it's the center of Rome. Okay, not the entrance of Rome, the center of Rome. My bad.
Well, that's not going to age well.
You know, there's like how there's a halacha where I know James. I don't know if you ever heard this before, but it's forbidden for like a Jew to like travel to Egypt because like once you leave Egypt, like the story of Exodus, like they're not supposed to go back. God tells them in the Exodus story, never return to Egypt. So there's a halacha. Maimonides writes one of the 613 commandments is that a Jew should never return to Egypt. And so there's like a malochus, a disagreement amongst rabbis whether or not Jews should go to Rome because a lot of the Roman city is made from the stones from the temple that they destroyed. So you don't really know. You don't really know which stone is holy or not holy. Like you're you're not supposed to desecrate something that's holy. So you're walking along Rome, you might be stepping on something that used to be the holy of holies. So there's a malochus. Are you allowed to travel to Rome? Are you allowed to because you don't know which part is the temple, which part was not. You could be literally stepping on, wiping your feet on holy, the holy of holies. Because we know by Roman historians that they used the temple to gentrify Rome, to beautify Rome. They wrote that, the historians.
Not going to age well.
Not
Something
going to
else on
age
the eighth
well.
day. Rashi commentary on the first verse that we were discussing on the eighth day. The eighth day of the installation rites, which was the first of Nisan, which is the first month on the Hebrew calendar, the biblical calendar. For that is the day of the tabernacle was officially erected, and the divine presence was manifest there. As described later, this day received 10 crowns, which were enumerated in Seder Olam. So, yeah, that eighth day is the beginning of the Jewish calendar, which is not the beginning of the new year like it is on our modern day calendar. That comes later. The
Well, Jews
birthday
love
of
New
man's
Year's.
soul.
Jews love New Year's. We have 4 of them, and
Yeah.
the Misam is a form of a New Year. It's um, when that's actually the first commandment. Like people think when people go, "What's the first commandment that God gives?" It's not the wrong answer. Is not that God gave Adam the commandment not to eat from the fruit, or the first commandment of the 10 commandments. Technically speaking, the first commandment is to form a calendar, and the first month of the calendar is the first of Nisan. That's the first day of the calendar. So technically, it's a new year, just like Rosh Hashanah is technically a new year. You have New Year's for trees,
Yep.
right?
Right.
What's the third one? What's the fourth one, James?
It was the
What's
man's soul on Yom Kippur. No, that was Rosh Hashanah. We already got that.
Rosh Hashanah, trees, Pesach, and what? And
Shavuot, yeah.
there's one more. I don't
It is
remember.
Pesach. Okay. Well,
Anyway,
it's all right.
Rosh Hashanah, Tu B'Shvat, the 15th of Shvat. That's the first of Nisan and the first of Elul. So I guess technically Rosh Hashanah, there's 2 New Years. The Elul is a New Year, and then Rosh Hashanah. I guess you were right, James. A new soul. You get a new soul. Yeah,
Okay.
you were right.
Well, John has volunteered to read Haftorah this week.
It's a big one today. It's a chungus. It's a two. It's 1 to 2.5 page, which is to me to me usually a half hour is like a page long. This is like 2.5. So
Just a reminder, it's the 12th day of the Omer.
Say a bracha. You gotta say a bracha before you say it. But okay, 12. Remember that when you count.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For the historical setting of King David, okay, I don't know what this. It's a footnote. Until the construction of the permanent temple in Jerusalem by King Solomon in the year 2935, the natural center of the Jewish people was the tabernacle, which was first located in Gilgal and was moved to Sheol. Sheol, is that how you say it? Always say that name wrong. In the year 2871, the Philistines, captured the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark remained in their possession for 7 months, after which they returned it to the town of Bet Shemesh. From there, it was moved to the city of Karet Ya'arim, and it was moved there for 20 years until King David brought it to its permanent home in Jerusalem in the year 2891, as described in this Haftarah. David was anointed as king in the year 2884, but it was only after he could consolidate his rule and capture the city of Jerusalem and neutralize the immediate threat of the Palestinians. I'm sorry, the Philistines. Palestinians. That he felt like it was time to bring the Ark home to the future site of the temple. This week's Torah portion opens up with the revelation of divinity that accompanied the tabernacle and describes how dangerous it was to veer from its prescribed performance of the sacrifice service. It describes the installation of the Ark of the Covenant in its permanent home and fatal consequences for not treating the accessories of the sacrifices as prescribed. The first time David assembled an army was when they gathered to crown him in Hebron. Now David again gathered all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000 strong, to the city of Karet Ya'arim, where the Ark of the Covenant was located. David arose and went, and all the people that were with him from Baali Yahudah, to bring up from the Ark of the Covenant, to which it was known by name, the name of God of hosts, who dwells upon the cherub, also rests upon it. But since when he was up early praising the Torah, David had interpreted this reference to God's laws as merely songs. God now punished him by making him forget the verses stating explicitly that the furnishings of the tabernacle must be carried by the priests must be carried on the priests' shoulders. Instead, they set the ark upon a new wagon, and they carried it on a wagon from the house of Avidav, which was on a hill near the city. Uzzah and Acho, the sons of Avidav, drove the new wagon, and they brought it up with the Ark of the Covenant out of the house of Avidav, and which was on a hill, and Achio went before the ark. David and all the house of Israel made merry with all kinds of musical instruments made of cypress wood, as well as harps, lyres, straters, and cymbals. They came to the threshing floor of Nechan. Uzzah put forth his hands on the ark of the covenant and grasped hold of it in order to steady it, for the oxen swayed it. Although his intentions were good, Uzzah, like King David before him, was guilty of disrespecting it. He should have remembered that the ark had lifted up the priest who was carrying it over the Jordan River, so it clearly was capable of lifting itself. Therefore, this angered God and kindled fire against Uzzah, and God struck him down for his errors. He died, therefore, by the ark of the covenant. David was angered by this because due to his error, God allowed his anger to be upon Uzzah. So he called that place Perez Uzzah, the outburst against Uzzah. So it is now called this to this day. David was afraid of God again for punishing and mistreating his ark as he did that day. Therefore he said, "How can the ark of God come to me?" David asked. David said, "I do not want to move the ark into the city of David." David took it to the side of the house of the Levites named Obed-Edom, a Gideonite. Thus, the ark of God dwelled there in the house of Obed-Edom, the Gideonite, for 3 months. During that time, God blessed Obed-Edom and all of his households with fraternity. That's what it says, fraternity. It was told to King David, saying, "God has blessed this house and all that belongs to him on account of the ark of the covenant." So now he saw that it is possible to respect the ark properly, and by doing so bring blessings. And David went forth and brought up the ark from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with joy. Wherever the bearers of the ark of God walked 6 paces, he sacrificed an ox and a fatling. David danced with all of his might before God, and David was girded with a linen robe. David and all of his household and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of God with shouting and with sounds of the shofar. As the ark of God came into the city of David, his wife Michal, the daughter of Saul, peered through the windows. She saw King David hopping and dancing before the Lord, and she loathed him in her heart. They brought the ark of God and set it upon its place inside the tent that David had pitched for it, and David offered up an ascent offering and a peace offering before God. After David finished the offerings, ascent offerings and the peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the God of hosts. He distributed to it among all the people, to the whole multitudes of Israel, both the men and the women, to each individual, a loaf of bread and a portion of meat, 1/6 of a bull, a barrel of wine, and all the people departed, and everyone went home. It is Chabad custom to conclude this here. Ashkenazim continue reading. David returned home to bless his home. His wife, Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said sarcastically, How honored today was the king of Israel, who exposed himself today in the eyes of Bedouin women, of his servants, as an empty-handed idler would expose himself. King David replied to her, It was before God who chose me instead of your father and all of his family, appointing me as the prince, over Israel, the people of God. It was before God I was made merry. Even if I was deemed before God more than this, and to be as embarrassed in my own eyes, I am not concerned. For I am not ashamed of being esteemed by one who likes of bondwomen of whom you have been spoken of. It is not enough for me that I will be considered honored by him. Just, what a silly, such an interesting argument. Yeah, it's like, what's going on here? I mean, he's having a good time, and his wife is chastising, like you're just some, like you're some whore of the city. You're dancing around. What's going on here? I don't even know what's going on here, but it's funny. Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no children from that day on until her death. Oh well, there you go. After the king dwelt in his house, and God had given him rest from all of his enemies around him, King said to Nathan the prophet, "The Torah tells us when we are safe from our enemies that we should build up a temple, and the condition has been fulfilled. So we should now take process. See, now I dwell comfortably in the house of cedar, but the ark of God dwells within its curtains." Nathan the prophet said to the king, "Go and do all that is in your heart, for God is with you." But the same night the word of God came to Nathan, saying, "David is too impetuous. He is apt into going into debt or be afflicted upon himself if I let him build this temple. Therefore go and say to my servant David, thus says the Lord, shall you build me a temple for my presence to dwell in? From this day that I took you, the Israelites out of Egypt until this day, I have not dwelt in a temple, but have moved from tent to tent. Such are a building in Sheol, which had stone walls and a curtain for a roof, or in the tabernacle. Wherever I moved with you and all the Israelites, did I not speak a word of any of this to the leaders of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to be a shepherd for my people, saying, Why would you build me a temple house of cedar? So now must you now say, my servant David, thus says the God of hosts, I took the shepherd's shed and followed the sheep to be a prince over my people. I have been with you wherever you went, and I have cut off all your enemies before you. I know that this is why you thought it was time to build my temple. But even though I am not allowing you to do this, I will nonetheless grant you a great renown, like a renown of the great patriarchs, that you will be buried in the earth, just as I referred to the Jewish people as the shield of Abraham, so too now I will consider you the shield of David. It is true that you are not presently troubled by your enemies, but I do wish to establish a place for my people, that even a calmer and more secure location. I will do this in the region of your son Solomon. I will plant them so that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more. Wicked people will not continue to afflict them like they did formerly. Ever since I appointed judges over my people, thus I will indeed give you rest from your enemies. God told you through Nathan that God will establish a royal dynasty from you and your offspring. When your days are finished and you will lie with your forefathers, I will raise up an offspring after you who will issue forth from your body and will establish his kingdom. He will build a temple in my name and rest upon it. I will establish a throne for the kingdom forever, and I will be to him a father, and he will be to me a son. When he goes astray, I will chastise him with a rod of men. This alludes to Hadad and Rezon, the sons of Eladad, who, with the stripes of the demonic sons seared by Adam during the 130 years during which he was separated from Eve, this alludes to Ashradai, the king of the demons, which had King David chased from his own throne. But the mercy will not depart from him alone, for I withdrew it from Saul, whom I removed before you, which you removed before me, sorry. Your dynasty and your kingdom will be confirmed forever with you. Your throne will be established forever. And Nathan spoke this to King David in accordance with all the words of his visions. That ended big. That was ended on a big note. I like
Yes,
that.
it did. Today is the 8th day, correct? Holy count.
Eighth
I have the
day.
blessing.
Yeah,
So it
go
would be
ahead.
blessed are
Go
you.
ahead. Who's going to make the bracha?
Blessed are you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded to count the Omer.
Amen.
12 today.
Today it's the 12th. So today is 1 week and 5 days
Nice.
of the
Baruch
Omer.
Hashem. Amen. Amen.
Baruch Hashem.
I mean, that's wow. I mean, it's just like
I really like that new. I like that new. I like that new hummus you got there. I gotta admit, that's all right.
yeah. I explained this last week, but of course, you have the classic. You have the Hebrew and the commentary in Hebrew, all in Hebrew on the side here, and of course, you have the different sections. But as you can see, oh man, there's regular font, which is the Torah, which is the translation, and then you have the bold letters, which is kind of like maybe like you can't really technically translate it. Like it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to translate Hebrew into English, so you kind of have to add a little flavor to it. And so the bold is the added flavor and a little bit of commentary. So that kind of makes sense as you're reading it that you get what it says literally, mamish, literally what the Torah says, plus you kind of get what it's actually trying to say with the bold. I like that.
Me too.
So you know which is which, you know what I'm saying? So you're not getting confused. Okay, you can read it and say, okay, the bold is not necessarily what it's saying, but it's kind of implied. And I can kind of, I like that.
You mean the opposite? The bold is the direct translation. The regular font is the.
Do I have it backwards? Maybe I have it
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah.
I have backwards. I'm backwards. I got my head screwed on backwards. I'm sorry.
Did you see Cerberus stop by and said hello?
Mm-hmm.
We ain't seen Cerberus in quite some time. Can't stay but want to say hi, and glad I'm alive. Well, me too, kind of. I'm getting out of my overtime though. That's a good thing. We're getting things settled at the store, and I don't have to be working overtime, which really helps because I don't get a lot of sleep lately.
You still at the same place that we talked about before?
Yeah, still there.
Okay, yeah.
Can't shake me. I can't shake it. So
You seem to be enjoying it, right? It seems to be working out better than radio.
Well, radio got political, sadly, and serving people good food is not political. There's no politics in good food and families, and serving your fellow man. And I did that in radio, but there's no politics with food. It's So Baruch Hashem, it's paying the bills, and I'm able to enjoy some time off once in a while. And we're about out of our allotted time for the week. So every Thursday, 8 p.m. right here, an informal but serious biblical discussion chat. You are always invited. Yes, my favorite viewer, right there. Hit that link over here. We've got a Rumble Studio link. That's how everybody gets in. We would love to hear from you, as always. James the Idol Smasher, on behalf of Rosalie and Yochanan, I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom and be well. Guys, any final words before we head here?
Shabbat Shalom. Take it easy.
Y'all
Thank
be well.
you for hosting us, James. I love it.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. Y'all be well. We'll see you next week.